Alright guys, welcome to my channel. This is office tour number 7, and I'm going to show you a product I have framed hanging up in my office. You may or may not know what these are, so this is kind of an education video, office tour video. Got a little Bruce Lee action over here on the side. So, vinegar valentines. What are vinegar valentines? And why do I have them framed up in here? Where did I get them? What are they worth? What the heck are they? Well, vinegar valentines are the opposite of a valentine. They were meant to be a joke, an insult humor that a person would mail to a person anonymously for a laugh or as an insult to someone you actually didn't like. An early form of trolling somebody. Yeah, kind of seems familiar today, doesn't it? Well, trolling people anonymously or being mean to people anonymously is not just social media. It's been going on for a long, long time. So what you're looking at here, these were printed on cheap disposable paper. They have a high acid content, and they were not meant to be kept. So these were disposable, cheap things. First started around the mid-1800s and up until about the 1930s, and they faded in popularity by the 1950s. I'm also going to put pictures up of other vinegar valentines that I don't own, just samples from the internet. Because the cost was only 1 cent, some people today mistakenly call them penny dreadfuls, but that's not what they actually are. They were also sold as postcards too on heavier stock paper. So the reason I'm sharing this information is to help you identify these if you ever find them out in the wild. Often when people sell these at estate sales, antique stores, flea markets, sometimes they don't even know what they are or what they have. There are people who collect these and will pay pretty good money for certain ones if they're topical or based on current events, or if they stereotype different professions like bankers, beauticians, car salesmen, or ethnic groups and races. The ones I have mostly just mock professions. So to give you a background story, I went to a flea market at Burley Park in Howard City, Michigan. And there was a gentleman there that had a 3-ring binder with about 128 of these. And he had no idea what they even were. And the sticker on the outside of the binder said, mean poems, which isn't that far off, but he didn't know what they were. And his price tag was $1 a piece. And I guess he was going to try to sell these for $1 a piece. And I saw them, I flipped them open, and to be honest, I didn't know what they were either. So I had no idea. But I knew they were old because of a couple things. One, the clothing in the illustration, and then the automobiles. Like there's an old-timey automobile with a crank on the front. So I knew these were turn of the century just by the clothing and the style of illustration. So I said to the guy, you know, you want $1 a piece, how many are there? And he said, 120. So there's no way I'm going to pay $120. And he was honest, and he said he had no idea what these even were. And I just kind of smiled and said, what would you take for all of them? And he said, what would you be willing to pay? I even made a video on this, I believe a year ago. And I said, I'll give you $40 for the whole thing. And he said, sure. So he took it. And each individual vinegar valentine had like a top loader soft plastic sleeve, and then there was 2 to a plastic page, 8.5 by 11. Some of them had 2 or 3 or 4 per page insert. So I bought them. I took them home, I did some research, took me about 30 minutes, and I figured out exactly what they were, and they're really, really cool. So I did try to sell a lot of like 50 on eBay, didn't get any bites, hardly any views, no interest. So then I went on Facebook and I found an ephemera group. So I took a picture of a just pile of them and said, hey, I got 100 of these vinegar valentines, $280 I said I wanted for 100. And right away I got private messages from people saying, oh yeah, these are cool, these are interesting, I collect these. A guy from New York sent me a private message and said, I'll give you $240 for it. And I said, sure. So I packaged it up, all the plastic top loaders, plastic sleeves, put it in a poly mailer and then put it in a side loading Region A box full of, like, you know, bubble wrap, packed in really, really good. He paid me through PayPal. I shipped it, bought a shipping label through PayPal, and off it went. So I turned $40 into $240 minus shipping. Not too shabby. Turned out there's about 128 of these in that 3-ring binder, not 120. So I still had 28-ish left over. So these 4 were pretty cool. So I kept these 4 and I framed them up. And I still have more. I just can't find them because I moved from one house to another. So the others are in storage, but they're really cool and frameable. So that's the story on how I got these and what they are. So I have a trivia question for you. Of these 4 that I'm showing you, which of these 4 stands out to you as significant, more valuable than the other 3? So if you want, pause the video, think about it, put your answer down in the comments, and then unpause the video, because I'm going to spoiler alert, I'm going to tell you which of these is the more valuable and why. Sorry for the glare. So we got the merchant, makes fun of people who sell stuff. It's pretty ironic. We got the suffragette, we've got the bootlegger, guy who makes his own booze, and the car boaster. I guess it's not necessarily a car salesman. I don't even know what that means. So the car boaster, the bootlegger, the suffragette, and the merchant. Well, if you guessed this one right here, you're the big wiener. That's right, this one I kept because it is topical to the law. So for you young whippersnappers that don't know your U.S. history, there was, as insane as it sounds, there was a time in U.S. history where women could not vote. That's right, women's suffrage started a little before the Civil War and went on for like 100 years. That is just bananas. So the 19th Amendment to the United States, August 1920, was passed and gave women the right to vote. So that helps you date this because of the poem at the bottom, which says, "You blow because you now can vote with men at each election, but should a strong wind come along, 'twould blow off your complexion." So this is something that you would mail to a woman as an insult, and you can see in this illustration she's dressed like a man, wearing a man's suit, a man's hat. I'm not sure what the house in the background is. She's wearing or carrying a walking stick. So it's implying that she's acting like a man, trying to be like a man, that she's an angry person. So you could send this to a little girl, a woman, as a joke, or someone you don't like. But this does date this because it says, because you now can vote. So we know that this vinegar valentine is at least past August 1920. So this is probably late 1920, early 1921. Covers the subject of women's right to vote in the 19th Amendment. So I thought that was pretty cool because it's topical. I have some others too that are related to other professions that I thought were funny, and I'll put those in their own little frames. But the merchant one is funny. These are not for sale, but I do have others for sale. So if you are interested, shoot me an email. I have 28 other ones. You know, if there's any topic that you like or you just want to see them, I'd be happy to send you a digital scan so you can at least see them. And they have nominal value. I mean, like this one here, the merchant guy, you know, they sell for $3 to $5 a piece. They're not high value items. This one right here, I would ask a lot for, probably $25 to $35, because I don't want to sell it. And then anything to do with death usually has a little bit of a premium, maybe $9 to $12. So that's it, guys. That's the video. That's my office tour and education video. Say goodbye, Homer. Goodbye, audience. Till next time. See ya.